Hello, my friends. So, I have a very serious question that I want to get answered. How can we stop people from becoming so ignorant? How can we educate people to think logically, to look at things objectively? I mean, how can we do it? It seems to be like a rise in people who believe in the flat earth or evil spirits or demons or all these various things, and I don't understand it. I mean, it's very disturbing. It's so irrational. And I don't think that people who have a belief in God or gods I don't think that they're thinking irrational, but there has to be a line. We understand that beyond this line is, well, it's a little out there. Having a belief in an afterlife or having a belief that there is some sort of a deity or some purpose to life, I don't think that that's illogical. I think that that's a belief. Idiots like this guy who say that horrendous accidents and events happen, that somehow it's driven by evil forces or demonic forces. This is not rational. It's just like people who believe that the earth is flat. How can we reel people in? How can we prevent them from going over the edge? I don't understand it. And then companies like Blaze, and they prop these people up. I mean, is this what we want? Is this what we want our society to become? Do we want to return to the 16th century where we're running around paranoid that somehow evil forces are controlling our lives and we have no control over it? The only thing we can do is burn people at the stake? Is this a society that we want? Or do we want a rational society? A society that's driven by knowledge, driven by understanding, driven by evidence and facts. A society that creates the internet, creates vaccines. This is the kind of world that we should be striving for. We don't want to return back to the 16th century.
Can we talk about demonic energy? Because I want to bring this up. Yeah. Is like I used to have, there'd be protests, I used to have this casting system for when it turned from a protest to a riot. And I categorize that by like the shift in demonic energy.
No, it's a shift into mob mentality. You can have a group of people engaged in riotous activity and one person breaks a window or one person throws a rock or does something, somebody else does it. And that escalates, the crowd becomes more violent and more bold and more extreme. This is not 1621. This is not objective reality. This is subjective nonsense. So, anyhow, let's hear more about what this absolute idiot has to say.
Of when the people went from just wanting to voice their concerns to where evil agitators, when I say evil, like people who were clearly mentally ill and like had hatred in their heart, right? They're not just upset. They have hatred for life and for people, would rile the crowd up and get them to commit crimes and to do horrible things. And so what's interesting is like, somebody's just got to call it out here. And I'm going to say it like it is. Like the entire music industry, it is against God.
The entire music industry is not against God. If you understand the history of music, you will find that a lot of music came out of the church. This idiot thinks that that's all demonic and evil spirits. Whatever, he's an idiot.
And that's what like the reaction is these people, they want to be wealthy, they want to be rich, they want to be independent, and they don't want any accountability for their actions. And the only thing that can get in the way of them having a good life is if there's a judgment after earth. And what's crazy is that for them, this is going to be the closest to heaven they ever get because they reject God.
I'm sorry. What is his name? Chad Schaefer? I don't even know his name. Elijah. I think his name is Elijah Schaefer. You idiot. How do you know that every single person in that crowd, every single one of them is not Christian or some form of theistic belief? How do you know that? You don't.
And for us, this is the closest to hell it will ever be. And so they have embraced their hedonism and their nature, and they push the envelope. And that's why they try hard to do this. Someone like Travis Scott, like you don't by accident put on an occult-themed place.
These things are not occult. Absolutely nothing to do with the occult. The occult does not encompass every single bizarre thing in the entire world. You spread hatred and you spread fear about those of us who actually do understand the occult and practice it. This has happened in the past, especially in the 80s and the 90s of the Satanic Panic, which I think because of the level of ignorance, we seem to be going back medieval times where we ran around thinking that if you got sick or you sneezed, that somehow you were being attacked by evil spirits, and so somebody had to say, bless you. This is 20, 21, not 1621. And I don't know why Blaze TV is propping this man up, promoting this absolute subjective nonsense.
I don't mean Travis. I don't know. People say that he wanted people to die. I have no evidence of anything like that. But I can tell you this. There's nothing about this that a sane person who has positive energy.
A sane person who has positive energy. That is absolutely classic. Sane, rational people who have positive energy. Oh man. I have to laugh at it because this is just so dumb, but it's also potentially so dangerous. But all I can do is just laugh at it.
It even doesn't believe in God. Even if you have positive energy and you don't believe in God.
King James Version of the Bible just ruined Christianity. It shifted the focus away from being a good Christian, moved it towards, oh no, it's other people who are evil, who are influenced by evil forces. There's witches running around. That's the reason why I can't get it up, or my chicken died, or my cow stopped producing milk. It's because of that old lady who lives down the street, who lives all by herself and kind of creeps me out, looks a little weird, and I think she's a witch, and she's been casting a spell on me because she's evil and she's possessed by demonic forces. So I'm going to rile up the neighborhood, and we're going to go and get her, and we're going to strap her up, and we're going to torture her until she confesses to whatever sins we believe she's done, and then after that we're going to burn or hang her to death. And this is what happened in the 14th through 18th century. And it's because of thinking like this absolute moron that people did that more than 500 years ago.
Is ever going to throw an event like this with occult and darkness. Like people who are good people, even apart from knowing God.
He's assuming that everybody in that crowd denies God or wasn't religious. He has absolutely no idea about that. And even if they were not religious, it doesn't mean they were possessed by evil spirits. And no, burning them at the stake is not going to resolve the situation.
Don't do this kind of stuff because they know that it brings the bad kind of people around, and it creates negative energy. And when you're a Christian, that's not just energy, those are spirits and demons. And if you think about this.
So anybody who was in the crowd who is, say, Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, non-theistic, whatever belief they may hold, they're, because they don't turn their life over to God or whatever, somehow they're responsible for this. Elijah, you are just, I've said it so many times, you're just an ignorant peasant from the 1600s. That's what you are. You're a 16th century peasant who's alive today in 2021, and you run around thinking that things are caused by evil spirits and demonic forces. No, they're not. They're caused by ignorant people like yourself.
The people were being told that it's not just Travis, but the crowd was being told that people were falling. And if you read the stories, there was 3 layers of people, 3 layers of bodies, and the people didn't care, and they kept rocking out to the music, stepping and partying on top of the bodies. At the very least, those people, I believe, are very much deadened in their heart. And it's not that they, sat down and met a demon and were like, hey, I'm going to be a demonic guy. But when you reject God, I think there's 2 different types of people. I think there are people that are still on the path to finding God, and they're just confused. And then there are people who have been given the chance to know God, and then they've rejected him and said, no, I'm going to choose to serve not God, which then makes you a son of the devil.
No, it was idiots running up towards the stage, probably didn't even know that these people had collapsed. There were actually, from some of the news reports that I've seen, there were actually people who came up to the stage to try and get him to stop the concert because these people were being trampled to death. And unfortunately, again, mob mentality, get into a crowd and you start getting pressed and on you so hard you cannot breathe and you will collapse. It doesn't have anything to do with evil spirits, you moron.
And so I believe that these people, it is put on by evil people, attracts evil people, and therefore evil has power and dominance. And I think that's when someone's there that sits there like that young black dude and goes, there was something different. There was something dark. We have to acknowledge that with 2020, it wasn't just riots that happened. There was a shift in spiritual energy, and people picked that up. I don't even know if the guy's a Christian. I don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know. You don't know if you don't know. I gotta calm down.
But he's like, dude, this was not just people stampeding, or there was an idiocy, or like this was dark. And I do want to point that truth out. Like people feel that aren't Christian. Like I don't know if you've heard this from people that aren't Christian. They're like, dude, there's been like a dark shift in the air in America. Like something in 2020 shifted in the world. And it's like, that is a shift of like spiritual imbalance, of like darkness getting a foothold and like making itself known. And that's why I believe that personally. I don't know if you think differently.
This guy is just an absolute complete idiot. I've seen several of his videos, and yeah, it's just, he's an absolute idiot. So I will see you in hell. You heathens.